Jonathan, what are you drinking? You don't have to be drinking with us. It's kind of just our thing. But as you probably know from watching these, we got plenty that don't partake, but we're always at awe of those that don't because there's no other real way to cope with the show. So indulge us.
No, I'm happy to partake. I'm drinking a glass of red, Riviata Casa Rosa, or something like
Hmm.
that. I don't know, some bullshit from the store.
Perfect.
You're not wasting good wine on this show.
No, cheap
Fantastic.
wine,
Yeah,
cheap
I
red
do the
wine.
same. Cheap red wine. I'll join you with red in a little bit. This beer is going fast. And the second obligatory question that we ask our guests is your connection to the Wheel of Time. So we kind of want to know when you first picked it up, what the series means to you, your favorite characters, and kind of what you think of the show and the impact it's had kind of on the fandom. I know you've been pretty involved with Wheel of Time fandom online for a while. So give us the whole gamut, man.
Well, I actually am pretty new to the books. Back in the dark times of 2016, after She Who Shall Not Be Named lost the election, I definitely wanted to disconnect from everything on the internet and political. So I picked up the audiobooks, and I had been putting the series off before. Like once I don't know, let's see, I read the Sword of Truth series after Harry Potter and all that. And after that, I kind of shelved fantasy for the longest of times. And oh no, Game of Thrones too. I did read that. But coming back to fantasy was pretty fun. And because I was disconnecting from everything else into the audiobooks, I work overnight, so I listen to the books 8 hours every night at work,
Wow.
getting through the series. And I actually finished the whole series in 2 months on
On
audiobooks.
audiobook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty fun stuff there.
So I gotta ask. It sounds like you'd been doing some other stuff, but you said that you had put it off. So that means that it had maybe been on your radar. It was kind of on your list. So who how did you initially get introduced to it, and why do you think you decided to kind of shelf it versus pick it up later?
Um, I think I was introduced to it by YouTubers, honestly enough, people who recommended the books and stuff like that. But everybody sees a 14 book series or whatever, and then you're like, I don't know. And after I've done Sword of Truth, did not want to engage with fantasy for the longest of times. And I kind of went down sci-fi routes instead.
Hmm. All right, well,
So
The truth
sci-fi
is
can be
awful.
good.
Please don't ever read it.
Sci-fi can be good.
I from what I know about Sword of Truth, I was reading some of them as they came out, but I kind of gave up after the fourth one because it just the
You're
plot
lucky.
changed a little bit too much. Yeah, that's what they tell me.
Hmm.
So Wheel of Time comes out. You listen to it all in a 2 month span. Have you done rereads of it, or are you sticking with the audiobooks?
Yeah,
Um,
I've definitely done rereads. I stuck with it a lot. One of the best things about doing audiobooks is, I don't know, I hear the books in a different perspective because I'm not reading it. I'm not putting my own biases in. I hear Kate Reading's voice and how she reads with full gusto, and Michael Kramer reading with full gusto, and I don't know, you just buy everything that they're selling. Like, you definitely fall into the characters' mindsets just by listening to the audiobook. So I enjoyed that part of it.
I mean, they do a great job. I think we talked about this with some guests before. I think the two of them both do, I mean, really top level audiobooks generally, but I think their Wheel of Time I guess rendition is one of their betters. I think, at least. I've heard them in other titles and series, but I think that they really are the voice of the Wheel of Time. So I don't know. Some people seem like they're interested in getting different audiobooks. There's the Rosamund Pike one that is awful.
no, no,
Uh,
no.
but
Funny
Don't
enough,
you
I
don't
haven't
even
tried
mention
it.
it. Don't
No,
don't
it's pretty bad.
Shadur Lagerth. That's what you're gonna get. And yeah, good to probably have someone on then who at least has some proper pronunciations of terms. So we're not going to get a faily out of you, I hope,
Ask me to
Jonathan.
spell anything because whew, I don't even want to try.
Mogadine or Moghedian, they both show up in the audiobooks. Where do you land on that one?
Mogedian.
Nice. Nice. That's the only right answer.
Here's the problem though. I've been in the community since then, and I've been like, ever since the books are so they draw you in, and that so I've been re-listening, listening, character only re-listens. It's just stuff like that because I work nights. I'm up from 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, and you just have not, at least with the work that I do, that's all I do is I turn on an audiobook, not even Wheel of Time, other things. And it's just really easy to get absorbed into this and the podcasting world. So I've been stuck with this series pretty strongly since 2016.
So you said something there that I think is really good, and I don't know if any of the other if the other fellow White Cloaks here have tried this before, a character sort of reread or a character re-listen. I've never actually done that before, but somebody in the Discord I think talked to me about that recently. The idea of like picking all of the point of view chapters of a single character and reading through just that. Uh, so what do you think? Do you think that you get a different appreciation for the character doing that? Who's the last character that you did
You did that for Dane Bornhold.
Yeah,
It
that's
took
like
me
one
20
chapter.
minutes.
It's really fun to do. When I first read the book series, I had no clue why people hated Egwene, and so I definitely wanted to just re-listen and actually just take a minute and to reassess the character.
Okay.
Because the way Kate reading is reading those lines, you're like, yeah. And Egwene says, oh, yeah, you guys suck at being men. And you're like, yeah, she's right. And so, I don't know. So the first time through, I really just, you take in those characters' perspectives and you take it for what it is. So that's why I did my rereads.
Mm.
And you're an Egwene fan, is that correct? Or should we get into that a little bit later when we can make fun of Egwene in this episode?
I am definitely the biggest Egwene fan. No, the TV show sucks, so I don't care about that Egwene. But I've definitely been known to be in a Reddit thread fighting back and forth with people over the character. She's a great character.
We can agree to disagree.
So I don't know, Alex. What do you think about the character Egwene?
So my position on Egwene is and always has been, Egwene is a great character because she is so damn real. Like everybody on Earth knows an Egwene. And in that sense, she may be the realest character that I have ever encountered in fantasy. And I also give her a little bit of credit because, once you remember exactly how young she is, it's a little bit easier to understand it. But also, goddamn, there's some moments where I want to choke this bitch. Like, it's so I don't particularly enjoy her, but I can acknowledge that she's a phenomenal character.
I would say just by the intensity that she brings out, and either you hate her or some people really love her. I think that's what makes her a great character. But also, like I said before, reading The Sword of Truth and just being so utterly disappointed with the Mother Confessor character in that series. Like, she's basically just a walking support stick for the main character. And I remember very early reading the books how Egwene was, nope, I'm not doing that. And I enjoyed that part of it.
So what, in your mind, before we get into the rewatch here, Jonathan, what's the biggest sin that the show did to Egwene?
Well, there's the obvious ones, and I'm sure, and you guys have already brought it up, like the stripping away a character who's motivated and driven by knowledge, by wanting something more of their life. That was kind of sad. Also, I don't know. You guys are gonna call me old fashioned, and that's definitely why I want to join on this part. But I utterly hate that they made Egwene and Rand's relationship a sexual one on
Oh,
episode 1.
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Well done.
That's a good
Bang.
call.
Yeah,
Very, very
it's
good.
it's interesting that you make that because so I think Alex summed up my feelings of the character of Egwene pretty much perfectly. But I think that to the point about what's wrong with the character Egwene in the show, the point you just made there is pretty interesting. Um, because I've always thought that to the extent that you are going to have to shorten and condense and change parts of the story in order to fit it into what Amazon decided to offer for the show's timeline, I always thought an obvious thing to cut was the Rand Egwene relationship. So if you're aging up the characters, just, have them be more mature, kind of platonic friends, right?
Exactly.
To say nothing of the Egwene Perrin.
Oh
Oh,
God.
fuck. Save that until when we get there and I'm good and drunk. Because
Yeah.
guess what? I've already gotten past my beer, and Jonathan and I are getting drunk on cheap red wine.
Yeah, and my scotch, as I said before, it doesn't actually get me drunk. So I need to finish this and move on to something else that will get me drunk, because high quality scotch like this, I mean, you just stay very clear minded
you're
and
actually
focused.
you're an 800-pound horse. That's why you don't get drunk.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Shall we do this? Jonathan, thanks for indulging us, your connection with Wheel of Time. But if you're up for it, man, I think we got to get rolling. It's going to suck.